Like, how do you withstand that? That's it. He's basically Nicolas Cage from Next. These are all people that are connected to All Might, and that's good. Best Boy is back, baby, and I don't mean Midoriya. I mean Mirio. Hello, it's Kibiji. I have a band-aid on my head, so ignore that. I got hit by a tree, and I won the fight, by the way. And a couple weeks ago, I made a top 10 favorite My Hero Academia moments to build up season 4, and haven't done a video about any of the first 3 episodes. I just been away every weekend, essentially, when they air, but just the nutshell of thoughts, if you're curious. One was honestly a fine recap episode. I thought it was nice how they did it, and having the reporter, find out more about this potentially, inheritor of being the next All Might. I thought that was a neat way to go about it, and it kind of set up for what this episode specifically was. Episode 2, Mirio's back. That's it. Mirio's back. But yes, Overhaul. So just the nutshell about Overhaul, we'll see. I don't have enough really to go off of right now per se to give too many thoughts about it, but I really like the interaction with him in the League of Villains. I thought that was cool, and I think it's great to have some kind of rivalry like this amongst the villains, because this show isn't just about the heroes growing, it's about the villains growing as well. But how was this episode? And before we get into it, feel free to share your thoughts. How did you think this episode went? What did you think of Night Eye, Bubble Girl, Mirio, circumstances of the work study? Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to chit chat with you about it, as we do every week here. Geek Brad Awesome. I get to chat with you about geeky stuff. Speaking of which, you should subscribe if you haven't yet. And also, final call, I would love for you to fill out a survey that I'll pin in the comments below. I really appreciate you filling out that survey. If you're already a fan of this channel and everything, I really want to be able to provide some more value to you. So please check out that survey in the comments. It'll only take you 5 minutes, maybe 10 at most. Now, this was the episode that Midoriya met Night Eye, who was the previous former sidekick of All Might, and I like him as a character. He seems pretty neat. He has this funny thing about him where apparently you gotta make him laugh. You gotta make him laugh. And he somehow withstood All Might's impression that Midoriya does. How do you withstand that? Every single time I see that face, it will always get me, and probably forever will. But I thought that was a neat contrast to his character. He seems like such a serious, uptight guy, but yet you have to make him laugh. So I just thought that was a neat character thing. And Bubble Girl, she's cool. She's cool. What I found interesting in this episode is that Mirio apparently didn't have to take a practical test like Midoriya did here. Midoriya's practical test in here is, hey, if you could get this stamp out of my hand and stamp the paper, then great, we'll accept you. But apparently Mirio didn't have to do anything like that. And you can kind of get why as you watch this episode, because apparently Night Eye really already liked Mirio. He always thought Mirio was, and apparently he knows as well about the inheriting of the One for All quirk, and he thought that was much more suitable for Mirio. So that was a reason right there. But I think Mirio just as a person, of course. But realistically, Mirio has a lot more humor. He seems to have a much more upbeat attitude than Deku. And he just seems like, yeah, it makes sense. You'd like Mirio more than Midoriya here. And I guess holds some bitterness that we'll probably find out in the next episode or two. The one thing I really hope for this series, though, is that I like this. I like this contrast between Mirio and Midoriya. Hey, they both start with M's. I literally just realized that as we're recording. And I'd like for them to dabble into it for a little bit. I don't want them to hammer this home. I don't want them to hammer this into us to be like, oh, you're not Mirio and he was there. I don't want them to hammer that home too much. I really don't. I'm fine with it a little bit more, but I just don't want them to be the thing that they rub in this season, Night Eye's quirk is dope. That's it. He's basically Nicolas Cage from Next, being able to see into the future for I get the feeling it's more than just an hour. They list he could see into the future for just an hour, but probably more than an hour. I just want to give a reminder that the art style in this show is awesome. The art style is one of the key reasons I was I gotta check out this show, and it is. The art style is really freaking cool, and I really like it. Just even the expressions, the expressions on Midoriya's face and all these other characters. I love the art of the show. Studio Bones. I love you. Midoriya trying to get the stamp, you know, like as this practical exam, almost like the bells and so on. You know, that was a little bit generic to me. It didn't bother me. Don't get me wrong. It didn't bother me, but just like, you know, I just felt like, I feel like this could have gone about it a different way. But then just as My Hero Academia does sometimes, once you think something is a little bit generic, something happens in it, a lesson that I'm just like, that's good. When Night Eye spots that Midoriya was avoiding all the All Might posters the whole time during this fight, that we had no glimmer of that. We had no glimmer. We usually know everything Midoriya's thinking at all times. And in this fight, we were getting that. We were getting in his head and knowing what he was thinking. But the funny part was that he was just instinctively avoiding all the All Might posters like it was nothing, you know, like, and I truly believe that because again, the way this whole sequence was presented, we were in Midoriya's head, but never once did it come up that he was trying to avoid those posters. And I didn't even think of that until the very end. And that was really cool because that gauges his ability as a hero right there. And that that was a thing that kind of made Night Eye go, well, I was going to accept you anyway, but that was kind of cool. Like, okay. But that really gauges his ability of being a hero because, you know, that's what, you know, like Civil War was all about, how heroes do their work, but they don't always manage to control the damage that they do. Well, that was a great example. Midoriya completely was controlling the damage he was doing. Granted, it was just in this one room, but I'm just really excited to get into whatever this little girl is. I'm not a manga reader. I am only an anime My Hero Academia watcher, you know. So this little girl has been on the marketing for everything about season 4. So I really want to know why. Why is she so prominent? And I really hope she's not just a one-off character either, you know, like she'll just be relevant this season, you know. If they are marketing her this much, even if she is just for this season, please make her a very important character to the setting. I don't know what that could mean, you know. Is it because of a certain quirk? Is it because of a certain relationship? I don't know. But just make her important, please. And yeah, speaking of which, that sudden change after the ED, like just all of a sudden, yeah, we're going to observe this. Oh, hi. My only worry about season 4 after these first 3 episodes is that it seems like Midoriya has his path laid out for him, you know? Like, he's going to make his own path, don't get me wrong. It's just that he's meeting all these people that are connected to All Might, and those are the people he's having these experiences with, you know. All Might's former master for his last, internship, and now he has All Might's former apprentice, and he's working alongside the person he considered passing One for All to. These are all people that are connected to All Might, and that's good, but I kind of want to see Midoriya, aka Deku, work with other heroes that aren't necessarily related. Maybe like, they have a connection to All Might, like they are a fan of his, or a like what if Midoriya worked with Endeavor? I'm not saying that should or would happen, but just, I like the idea that Midoriya finds experiences that don't have to be connected to All Might. Because I like character development, and if there's a character you really wish had better character development this season or just had more, leave that in the comments, as well as what you think about that idea of, Midoriya having his own path and not necessarily having to work with people connected with All Might. Let me know that in the comments, and if you'd like to check out more videos, there's my reaction to All Might versus All for One. I always mess up that quirk name. Right there in the cards below, as well as the top 10 My Hero Academia moments from the previous season, so you could check those videos out. I'd love it if you do. And a quick Patreon shout out to Madsen and Steffi. Thank you guys very much for making this channel possible. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching though, and I'll check you out in one of the videos below.